I'm still confused about your current capabilities.
Okay.
You said you've got 4 lines that are just sitting dormant, sitting empty right now. Is that correct?
We have 4 idle respirator manufacturing lines. Yes, sir.
And they're just, I mean, they're not being used right now.
Yes, but go ahead, finish your question.
Yes, they are not being used.
Correct.
So you said you've already got the machines for those lines. You don't have to procure them. The only thing you're going to have to do is to get staff in order to use those lines.
No, there's 3 things. We need to hire 100 people. We need to train 100 people. We need to get all the materials for that, and we need to get NIOSH approval. We bought those systems from a defunct Vermont mask company 7 years ago. We really don't even know how to use those machines. They're kind of a last resort. And if you'll go back and look at my email to Dr. Bright, I said this would be basically a pain to do, but they're here. And if we need this for infrastructure, let's talk about it. But what we've done in the meantime is we've gone from making 75,000 respirators a month. Think of that number, 75,000, to 2 million. And then in another 40 days, we'll be at 4 million from 75,000. So that's thousands and thousands of percent.
But you said you bought those. You bought them for a purpose. You bought them to use them, right?
No. Thank you for asking that question. No, they came as part of an acquisition. We bought a defunct medical company, and those machines came as part of the acquisition.
Okay.
And they're made in China. Again,
but
go ahead.
Did you say earlier that your phone's ringing off the hook? You got orders coming out of the Yazoo? And
Yeah. Okay. But I can't go on a suicide mission. I can't ramp up, hire all these people for something that I don't know how it's going to end or how long it's going to last. And we did this. You got to remember, we almost went out of business doing this before. We ramped up and we spent money and built a bigger factory, hired 150 people, built more machines. And then one day, the business not only went away, it went smaller than it was, and we had to raise $1 million. We had to take pay cuts, and we had to fire 150 people.
So what you're saying, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but
I'm saying I need a long-term contract.
You're saying you're not going to use them, you're not going to fire them up unless you get a long-term contract from the government.
I'm not going on a suicide mission, absolutely.
So that's yes. You're not going to use them unless you get a long-term contract.
Unless I get a customer who is going to commit to use those machines so I don't have to fire 100 people.
So that means that you'd have to have a long-term contract from the government in order to do it.
Yeah. Listen, we've gone from 1 shift to 3, 80 people to 200. We're making 4 times the products we made. We're making over 1 million masks a day. Don't you look at me and act like I'm sitting on my ass and not firing up 4 machines. It's not like just turning on a switch. It's putting people's lives, I'm not
Sir, I understand. Listen, I'm a businessman too, and I understand what it takes.
I sat and watched my business partner cry when he had to lay those people off. We're not doing that again.
So so it's going to have to be a long-term contract from the government, though. That's my point.
From somebody.
I get it from somebody.
I can't hire 100 people based on a maybe.
I'm sorry?
I can't hire 100 people based on a maybe. Based on when's this going to end? Who knows?
None of us can, whether we're in the private sector or the public sector. We can't do that. We all understand that.
You're not risking your livelihood and...
Sir, I risked my livelihood for 30 years as an independent retail pharmacist. I never had I had contracts with nursing homes.
Why don't you buy my machines and hire 100 people? I'll tell you what, I'll give you my machines if you want to hire 100 people.
But the point is that you're here saying that I'm not going to do it unless I get a long-term contract from the government. I'm just trying to get clear.
Wait, no. Go back to the context. The context of that was in those emails, hey, here's 4 machines, they're here, but I can't turn them on unless it's a long-term deal. I'm not just going to flip them on and have you flip them off and leave me hanging like everybody did last time. And let me tell you what happened last time. The government sits around, doesn't buy American-made products, comes to me in a pandemic, buys millions of masks in 2010. And you know what they do with those masks? They stored them for 10 years. Then they auctioned them to some knucklehead who put them on eBay and sold them for 10 times what they were worth. So not only have I not seen the government in 10 years, I got to compete with my own masks, and I got to have thousands of phone calls from to me from people who bought that 10-year-old masks of mine on eBay for $10, 10 times the price, yelling at me. And I had nothing to do with it. It's because the government waited and sold this stuff. So I've been hit from every side on this thing. We have bled for this country. We have created jobs. We put our factory in Texas when everybody else had already left the country. So don't sit here and judge me for 4 machines that aren't running that I'd have to hire and fire 100 people for. I'm not going to do it.
Not unless you have a long-term government contract.
Gentleman's time has expired.
How many times do we have to say this?
I now would, the chair recognizes the gentleman from